Here's where the admin and these coaches and the district fail teachers. We got to the point where teachers scaffold, differentiate the lesson so much and overteach that these kids cannot think for themselves. These kids cannot think for themselves. Zero critical thinking skills. Zero. And it's sometimes in a teacher's nature, it's hard for a teacher to see a student struggle. And your first few years, you struggle with it, but veteran teachers get it. You know what I mean? And not veteran, I mean 5+. Where sometimes you gotta let them figure it out. Letting the kids struggle and figure it out does not mean you're a bad teacher or you're doing them a disservice. Walking them through everything is doing them a disservice because they can't think for themselves. They gotta figure it out, right? So now we overproduce the lesson. We over scaffold it. We over differentiate it to the point where now all they gotta do is just fill in the blank. They don't gotta think through the process on how to get to the solution. For example, math, right? Boom, you got a word problem. Differentiation, they tell you what this word means. Instead of now taking your time to read the problem, to use your context clues to try to figure out what surrounding that word will give you the information on what that word means, right? But instead of doing that, tell you what the word means already, right? Then you want to set up the equation to solve. The equation is already set up to where all you got to do is plug the numbers in. So the kid now is not thinking, how can I take this information from the problem to create the equation to then plug in the numbers? Now the numbers are already, the base of the equation is already set up to where all you got to do is plug the numbers in. Now the kids can't think for themselves. And I'm just giving you an example. It's the same thing for English, right? It's a huge struggle, and that's part of the reason why teachers are so exhausted, because they're over teaching. They're doing the heavy lifting, and you gotta think about it. Teachers teach 5 periods a day, right? Most places, most states. Think about doing that for 5 periods where you doing all the heavy lifting. Shoot, after a month or two, you burned out. So we gotta get back to letting kids figure it out. We gotta get back to letting kids figure it out. Productive struggle, because clearly the numbers show that it's not working. All the fancy terms, all the differentiation, the scaffolding, right? Different levels, all that. We got to get back to the basics and stop printing out worksheets for these kids. It's not teachers' fault. Stop printing out the worksheets for these kids. Let them copy off the board. They can't write. You give them the objective, they take 10 minutes to write the objective. Stop printing out the worksheets. Let them go back to getting the loose leaf. As soon as you get in class, write the objective down, copy down the notes. Another thing, notes. These kids get conditioned just to copy the notes down. As long as I got the notes on my paper, I did my work. Instead of understanding what you're writing down. When the teacher's teaching, the kids are writing while the teacher's talking, because they don't even care about what the teacher's saying, because they're so busy getting the notes down, because they've been trained, they've been taught that as long as I got my notes on my paper, I did my work. But you got the notes on your paper, you don't even know what it means. You don't even know what it is. You don't even understand what you're writing. You just writing. So it's a mix of that on top of just over teaching. And now the teacher put all this work in of having the notes down and giving them vocabulary. The kids don't even read it when they get home. There's no homework. So now when they go home, they're not practicing what they learned at home. So if you didn't understand at the end of the day, you come back, you don't do no homework, you go back to class the next day, you don't know what's going on, and then you go on to the next lesson. And now you lost. You lost from the last lesson. And then the pattern continues over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's where we at now. On top of no support at home. And this is where we at right now.